That's right, I finally did it, so let's go ahead and claim all of my rewards. Starting off with Novice, we get a player badge, some TP gummies which are pretty useless to me because I can just buy them with Robux, it doesn't really matter, but after seeing a lot of players' feedbacks, we might add some shards and maybe power fruits as a reward in the lower tiers in the future. And then we also get some boost tokens and some battle tokens. I've also seen some feedback from people asking for more boost tokens, and I can't really see us upping the amount you get from ranked rewards, although there will be some more ways to get boost tokens in the future, like a daily quest system, maybe. Now for Advanced, we get another player badge, a profile background which will be changed out every season. We'll probably do kind of a theme for each season, which will try and tie the backgrounds and the crown Loomians together somewhat. Then we get some more boost tokens along with a title and name color. Then for Hyper, we get another player badge, our first Loomian voucher which will let us claim a Hyper Chienta, and then we get some more boost tokens, title and name color as well. For Expert, we get another player badge, our second Loomian voucher which will let us claim an Expert Chienta, and then we get some more boost tokens, title and name color as well. And finally, for the Ace rewards, we get a player badge, the last Loomian voucher which will let us claim an Ace Chienta, some more boost tokens, title, and another name color. And that is it for Ace at the very least. There are going to be some further rewards if you grind for top 100, top 25, and top 1 players for the ranked MMR. But obviously this is our testing season, which is why we're calling it Season 0, but we are open to hear any feedback that you have in regards to the rewards. Although, to add on to that, I do think a big issue is that we don't have a lot of variety in what sort of items we have currently in the game that people might want as a reward. I think as long as the profile stuff and the crown Loomians are cool enough, the average player will be happy enough with that, maybe, but why stop there? The badges themselves are pretty cool, but I think for the most part I'll be sticking with my good old Zulong and Prope badge, unless I grind enough to get one of those top 100 plus badges. Those are pretty freaking cool. Although, of course, we gotta be flexing our Ace title and color to make sure everybody knows I abused Broken Loomians, 100%. The Battle Coliseum background is also cool, but it's really hard to compete with the weather backgrounds in my opinion, so I'm probably gonna stick with those for the most part. Although, thinking about it now, it does suck that we didn't introduce a new frame for PvP, because the Battle Coliseum doesn't really fit super well with any of the frames that we currently have in the game, so yeah, I don't know about that one. But with that out of the way, now I can go ahead and claim my Crown Chientas. For my Hyper Chienta, I'm going to be going with Sharp Claws as my ability, and a Nimble and Brawny personality. I'm probably not going to be using this Chienta as much as the other ones, which is why I'm using it on the Hyper reward. For my Expert Chienta, I'm also going to be going with the same ability, being Sharp Claws, but this time we'll be using a very nimble personality, which this one will also specifically be using Foolish. I used to use this set all the time when Chienta first came out. It helped a little more by taking priority moves a little bit better, since the majority of them are all melee attacks. And finally, for my Ace Chienta, we're going to be going with Sharp Claws as our ability once again, also with a very nimble personality, although this time we'll be running Tender instead. This is right now probably the best set you could use on a Chienta. This will prevent Protagon from getting a range attack stat increase, which is already super scary right now because of specialty goggles, which is also why I'll be using it on the best looking reskin Chienta. Next up, I guess I'll show you my stats and the team that I used to get to Ace. So, with that being said, here are my rank stats. In total, I did 115 battles, which 68 of them I won, I almost got 400 knockouts, and I just barely did over 90,000 damage. Then for the Loomian stats, my number one most picked Loomian is going to be Meditoad, which I brought to 79 battles. Meditoad also has my most KOs with 97, and Meditoad also has my most damage dealt with a total of 20,000. And for the rest of the Loomian stats, I haven't really used Soulburst, Icicle, Skellig, or Landtorch since my update stream when the ranked update actually dropped. I'm sure I'll eventually use another Soulburst enough to replace the Icicle, but I honestly kind of doubt I'll be able to outdo my best KFR or my best DDTR, so those are probably there to stay for this season. And moving on from the stats, I might as well quickly talk about the team that I used to get to Ace 2. When the ranked update released, I streamed quite a lot on that day, just using some random teams that I could put together from my PC boxes, but since then I've built a team specifically around Meditoad. Now, I should also say I'm not really good at building teams. I don't specifically go out of my way to like play in tournaments or whatever, so I usually prefer to use one or two Loomians and then build a team around them instead. Specifically, this is more for like showcase videos I've done in the past, which here is kind of what I did here. Meditoad is going to be the Loomian at the center of my team. I'm using a specialization Specialty Glows Meditoad with the move Cycle Slap. This will threaten most things in the game with either a 1-hit KO or a 2-hit KO, even some Loomians that resist Mind if they aren't super bulky. Also, we're running a melee Meditoad, because we get to ignore Lushen's Petrifying. Along with Meditoad, our only Uller damage dealer is going to be Aceros. This is going to help us beat most Loomians that Meditoad can't really deal with, so bulky dark types like Lushent and Vesperatu, and some Uller annoying Loomians like Cleone. Also, Aceros is pretty decent at dealing with the Luminami and Lushent cores that a lot of people have been using, thanks to Bulk Up and Boiling Press. Uller and our damage dealers, I have 3 tanky Loomians that all share one goal. Switch into the battle when needed, help maybe a little with some utility, but we're mostly looking to pivot back into our Meditoad and Aceros as much as physically possible to force knockouts. Eurosnack is our dedicated melee wall. It has slap down to remove items when needed, and it can help us greatly with things like Banoke, Thunder, and Tyrex, just to name a few. But we're mostly wanting to click Baffle, which right now is pretty good. If we can use it on a bulky Loomian, we could potentially get Meditoad to outspeed more things. Eliguana is then our dedicated ranged wall. It has Mudslide to remove entry hazards. The ability on top of the range block will let us deal with things like Land Torch, Ikazune, and for the most part Protogon. And then we have double pivot with Zip Zap and Flash and Flee. I was originally running Thunderstrike over Zip Zap, but with the amount of Lushens that I was running into, I switched over to Zip Zap to not get trapped into the battle. And then we have Encased Cosmere, which is a good tanky Loomian all around. Icicle Trap utility is nice for things like Lushent, Florant, Holly Bunch, and for breaking clutch plushes on things like Gargolem, and I also specifically wanted a Dissipate user, because this will let me act as a slow pivoter inside and outside of Banefists. And then the last 2 members of my team, yes, are both broken Loomians. The first is Imperior. With the ability Resentful, we're looking for at the very least a trade. So I can switch Imperior into a Loomian that I really don't want to fight against, like Deladrix, Holly Bunch, or Charonix, or I can bring Imperior in as a solid revenge killer with specialty boost and very nimble, which yes, is definitely overkill, just to outspeed as much as possible in the game. And then lastly, we have Weaselin with the ability Trader and the item Heavy Shackles. We can switch Weaselin into the battle to cripple a potential sweeper Loomian, like Leviatros, Holly Bunch, Garbantis, or just anything else that has Drudge. Then we also have Barbs to get some free chip damage, especially against bulkier Loomians. Tricky Tactics can use Setup Sweeper's melee attacks that increases against them to get huge damage, or in some cases it can just outright knock them out. Tribute can be useful to get Weaselin off the battlefield if we're in a bad situation without having to hard switch into another more valuable Loomian, while at the same time lowering the opponent's offensive stats. And Provoke is kinda nice because after we've gotten rid of Heavy Shackles, we're really fast and we can prevent support moves from being used as well. So with that, that is the team that I used. And yeah, I get it, I used broken Loomians, but hey, at least I'm not using stall and wasting people's time, right? And with that, we have finally reached the Ace tier. Let me know how you're doing so far down in the comments. And maybe even leave what team you're using too if you're wanting to look to improve it at all, or if you're just looking for feedback from other players. And also finally, feel free to leave any suggestions for future ranked awards that you would like to see too.